Hey everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us as always is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you live from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
Also here, one half of Schmoes Know, Christian Harloff.
What's going on? I'm kind of throwing it in the atmosphere to get a Darth Bane movie. The best I can do is a Darth Bane shirt. So.
Also at the table, AMC's very own Miri Jedikin.
Hi, everybody. Hello. I have nothing
Also here from Latino Review, Humberto Gonzalez, a.k.a. El Mayembe.
Hey!
Hey, what's cracking, movie talkers?
We're glad you're here. Thank you for being here, man. We don't often get you in the same city, so we're good to have you here. Hey, listen, folks, before we get rolling here, it's going to remind you, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy is opening up in AMC theaters everywhere on August 1st. And I want to let those who are Stubbs members, AMC Stubbs members, know that there is a special deal just for you on the opening weekend of Guardians of the Galaxy. If you are a Stubbs member and you go to an opening weekend screening of Guardians of the Galaxy, you will get a sealed blind package. And in that package, you will receive one of these. You can't see them because they're pretty small, but one of these special collector pins. And each one of them has one of the characters from Guardians of the Galaxy. We got Groot, we got Star-Lord, we got Rocket, Drax, Gamora, and 1 out of every 100 will have a very special one, this Guardians Insignia one. Yeah, so this is the special one. This is the one you keep for sure.
Clearly.
So once again, if you are a Stubbs member, opening weekend for Guardians of the Galaxy, while supplies last, you can grab one of these. Keep your eyes open for them. All right, let's get going with today's movie news.
All right, this first story contains some information that we do not consider a spoiler, but we recognize some of you may, as it relates to a possible cameo in the film, so you may want to fast forward through this part. A copy of the official Guardians of the Galaxy end credits scroll has been released, and it contains some interesting information near the end. The first is the disclaimer that no raccoons or tree creatures were harmed during the making of the film. The second is the announcement that the Guardians of the Galaxy will return, and the third and possibly most interesting tidbit is the credit Howard the Duck created by Steve Gerber and Val Mayerick. John, what do you make of these three things?
Yeah, well, okay, first, the unimportant ones first. The whole no raccoons or trees were harmed doing this, that's just funny. The Guardians will return. Confirms what we've all speculated and believed, that we know they've got future plans for Guardians of the Galaxy. This was never going to be a one and done. So that's good to hear too. What has people really excited in certain circles right now is Howard the Duck is making a cameo appearance in the movie. I don't think that's the case. I don't think. Now, I'll be really. I'll be really pleasantly surprised if that is the case, but I don't think it is, considering it's kind of tacked on there right at the end of the credits. I have a feeling that we're going to see Peter Quill, Star-Lord, near the beginning when he's a kid still on Earth. I'm going to bet you he's like got a Howard the Duck comic book or something like that. We'll see a reference to it, but I don't think we're going to get. I hope I'm wrong. I think it'll be completely cool. When I go see Guardians of the Galaxy tonight, I think that would be really cool if he pops up, but the way this is structured, I don't think that's the way they're going for it. What do you think about it? You think he's going to be in there?
There'll be probably like a reference of sorts. I mean, think about it. Lucasfilm is now owned by Disney.
Yeah.
Has that entire library. So I could see a reference, a doll of some sort. Remember that Peter Quill, by what we know, is like a child of the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly within reason that
the timeline's right.
Yeah, he was abducted, and Howard the Duck was the hot movie back then. Well, after.
Well, it was for me. I loved that movie when it came out. Everybody hated it,
absolutely.
but I really liked that movie when I was a kid.
So do you think he'll actually pop up there?
I would love it if he did, because it's one of those things that happened. It was like this memory of my youth that nobody has touched since. So it would be kind of cool. I don't know.
What do you think, Christian?
I say yes. Yes, he will show up, and I'll tell you why, because it is no different than when Sonic the Hedgehog showed up in Wreck-It Ralph. It's just, if it is the perfect universe for this guy, for this duck to show up, it is in this movie. And it could be a passing by with a cigar, he gives a line, he takes off, he has a little back and forth with the raccoon, and people would go nuts. It doesn't have to be a huge part. It's a little thing, and I think it would be fun for people to recognize and go, hey, it's Howard the Duck. Awesome, because it fits in. It's not like putting him in like with Iron Man out of nowhere. You're putting him in with Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I think he'll show up.
You bring up the one really compelling argument about why you might want to think he'll be there, and that is, you're absolutely right. If you're going to put him in anywhere, this is the one you put him in. You don't put him in a Doctor Strange movie. You don't have Stephen Strange and Howard the Duck come walking. With Guardians of the Galaxy, if they did it, we wouldn't blink. We go, oh, it's Howard the Duck, but it wouldn't seem odd or unusual to us at all. So that's a really good argument. All right, what's next?
Fans of the video game Uncharted have been anxiously awaiting word about the movie adaptation announced last year, with Horrible Bosses director Seth Gordon leading the way. According to a recent interview with Gordon, the film should start production in very early 2015, and Gordon says the film will be very international. Christian, should people be excited for an Uncharted movie?
Yes. And the series is one of the best video game series as far as story related I think that's ever been created. And it's going to be the internet's going to go bananas once we find out who is going to be playing Drake.
Oh, yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Once the casting goes in, who's playing Drake?
Clint Eastwood. My money is on Clint Eastwood right now.
Hurry up and jump off that cliff.
60 years ago.
The thing with this movie is that we have not had a great video game adaptation yet. I mean, Mortal Kombat, the first one was fun. That's about all you really can get. You have to nitpick. However, I think that this one, because this could be the new Indiana Jones if handled correctly, and I like the choice of the director because there's a lot of humor in this video game as well. So I'm very optimistic.
Mary?
Yeah, Uncharted is one of my favorite video game franchises ever, and I think it's really one of the best action-adventure games. And Nathan Drake, like you were saying, is such a rich character. He's funny, and he's witty, and he's sarcastic, and he's really handsome, and he's very rugged. You're right, he could be the next generation's Indiana Jones. So for me, it really all depends on casting. Like, who is going to be Nathan Drake? For a long time, people wanted Nathan Fillion to play Nathan Drake because he does in the video game.
They want him in everything.
Well, yeah, but he's a little old for Nathan Drake now, I think. But because he was the voice of the character, people felt such a kinship with him.
See, one of my biggest arguments against, and I don't think we've had even a good video game adaptation yet. I mean, I love Mortal Kombat, but it's as much as I
like
love.
fun. It's guilty
Yeah,
pleasure.
exactly. It's a guilty pleasure, and I love it on that level. My one critique has always been that video games do not have cinematic narrative to them. I know video game players feel like they do because you're playing a video game, but really when you step back, they don't. Uncharted is a little bit different. You have a new breed of video games coming out that are starting to employ more cinematic narrative, and this is, if any movie or any game, there's probably about 5 or 6 of them that I think have real possibilities to make good narrative. One of them is Warcraft, we see that coming. One of them is Assassin's Creed, we see that coming. And one of them is this. The other thing I really like about this is Seth Gordon's attachment. I loved the first Horrible Bosses, and I know I'm a little bit alone in that. I know a lot of people kind of liked it. I really loved it. And he made one of my 5 all-time favorite documentaries in King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters. That is like one of the best documentaries ever. How can you make a movie about guys who play King Kong and make it engaging and interesting? He found a way. So overall, I think this is really cool sounding stuff. What do you think?
I'm a PC gamer, so I've only flirted with the console version when I lived with a roommate. But I did read a couple of earlier drafts of the script. Very good. Has very good potential and could perhaps be another Indiana Jones. But it read well, it flowed well, it has the cinematic narrative you were talking about.
Right.
It's a big, fun adventure movie that's not only accessible to the console players but to general audiences as well.
It's funny because Gordon just said, actually, he said right now we've got the script. He said
It's
in
good.
a really good place. So
It
he
is
sounds
very good.
And I'm curious if that's one, because for a long time, a lot of good talent's been attached and rumored to this for a long time. You had David O. Russell at one point wanted to do a version of this with Mark Wahlberg. That was floating around there. So people acknowledge what a great potential story this film this could be.
Also, Seth has a huge love of video games, obviously.
Oh, yes.
So that
He really
helps.
does. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show for buy and sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. And then Christian, Miri, Umberto, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson took to his Instagram to post a short video of a scene with him in chains struggling to break free. Johnson added the following: "I asked the prop department to lock me in with real steel chains that it couldn't break so the performance would be real. We shot this scene 8 times. I blacked out every time. Down to my knees, well worth the fun pain. This moment is iconic. I'm excited for you to see it." Miri, buy or sell The Rock pushing himself so hard that he blacked out 8 times?
I mean, how can I not buy that? Who doesn't buy that? I buy it like with everything in my bank account. I buy it. I think the brilliant thing about this is that The Rock, aka Dwayne Johnson, understands what fans love him for. And I think he makes really good choices with the roles he chooses because he stays in that wheelhouse. He knows that he's that guy that can be really strong and superhuman, but also really lovable and really approachable. So he's kind of doing this really smart thing by showing you, like, look at what a badass I am, but also I blacked out every single time. So he's kind of creating this line between being this superhuman Rock and also being someone really lovable and human, where you're thinking to yourself, if I did that, I would pass out.
Yeah,
also.
it's funny when you watch the video. It's great. You can find the video. Just look it up. It's easy to find. But when you watch the video, you see him with these heavy chains on, and he is going full force.
Yeah.
You see every muscle fiber in him just tearing and ripping, and he's screaming at the top of his lungs. And as soon as you hear Ratner yell "cut," you see his knees buckle.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could see it. And he ain't acting. I mean, it's like, wow. But that's the thing about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's come from this, Scorpion King. To being a legitimate, serviceable, real actor because he has this work ethic that he will work his ass off, not just physically, but he will put in the training for his acting, everything too. But he gives everything he does, every ounce of strength, power, enthusiasm he has. And that's one of the reasons why we love him so much. What do you think?
I buy it. I mean, he's a meathead. Let's keep it as. He's all about showmanship and showing how strong he is. Like in his Instagram, he's got like a 150-pound barbell. He's always working out. You know? So it appeals to guys. It's like, yeah, you want to be like him, but I buy it.
Christian?
See, I'm going to buy it, but I actually go against the meathead theory of it all because I go more toward your side there, John, because we talked about this the other day. I worked with Dwayne when I worked at the WWE, and the guy was work ethic, like how do I be the best? How can I become the best? And he has progressed as an actor. So I think, it's fun to go like, hey, beer can across the head, I'm awesome, but it's also the fact that this guy goes and he's like, look, I want to be locked to chains. I want to show you, I'm Hercules right now. I am Hercules, and I'm about as big as Hercules probably would be in real life. So he plays into it, and he's also committing to everything he does. He saves franchises when he's in movies. Yeah. And I hope that he's able to do this for Brett Ratner.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. All right, what's next?
That was a great face.
The first trailer for the upcoming Conjuring spin-off movie, Annabelle, has just hit the web, giving us a glimpse of the origin of that terrifying doll from the beginning of Conjuring. Annabelle hits AMC theaters on October 3rd. Umberto, buy or sell this first trailer for Annabelle?
Meh. Pass. I'm selling. I'm selling. Not my cup of tea. It's a creepy doll puppet movie.
You don't love creepy dolls?
I saw the first Poltergeist as a kid when the clown went under the bed. That freaked me out as a kid.
That is so terrifying.
So I had issues for a little while.
Really
so
fast,
I try to
too.
stay away from creepy dolls and puppet movies and stuff. Okay, till this day.
I gotta tell you, man, I gotta buy this. And even horror movies that I really like, I generally find I don't like horror movie trailers. They just don't do it for me. Even Conjuring, the trailer for Conjuring and stuff like that, didn't do it for me, and I really liked the movie. But for whatever reason, I was watching this trailer this morning. I'm like, okay, shut the F up. I mean, this is a trailer, and I'm finding this really creepy. So for me, personally, I'm going to give it a buy.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it. I actually really enjoy horror movies, and I agree with you. A lot of trailers sometimes fall short at showing you how terrifying a movie can be, but dolls are very scary. I can't. The one thing, I watched this trailer and I'm like, I don't understand how this woman could possibly think this is a good idea.
For her
Even
baby's
if the
room.
doll is not possessed at all, that is look at that thing. Would you want that in your kid's room? No. I mean, that's obviously
It depends
after.
if I hate my kid.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it. I think it could be very scary.
Christian?
I'm going to sell it. And I loved The Conjuring. My problem is that James Wan is not directing this. I don't think it. He's just producing it. And I'm worried about the style. Looks like it's a director trying to rip off what James Wan did, and it doesn't look original yet. I could be wrong. I could love this movie. But as I'm watching, and my biggest problem with a lot of the old school horrors when they're done cheap is that the acting doesn't look good. I thought the mother so far looked terrible in that role. She's like, my husband will be back soon. I'm like, it didn't work for me there. It could deliver later on. But
And
for
trust
the trailer,
me, I've broken into a lot of houses, and I've seen how wives react.
they react. Don't react like that, all right? I'm from Queens, I get it. For right now, it's a sell, but I hope I'm wrong.
All right, what's next?
The first official images from the upcoming Jack Black film Goosebumps has just hit the web. Teenager Zach moves to a new town with his family and is taken with the girl next door, Hannah. However, Zach learns that Hannah's dad is none other than Goosebumps author R.L. Stine, played by Jack Black. Turns out the monsters that his books made famous are real, and Stine protects his readers by keeping them locked up in their books. When Zach unintentionally unleashes the monsters from their manuscripts and they begin to terrorize the town, it's suddenly up to Stine, Zach, and Hannah to get all of them back in the books where they belong. Goosebumps will hit AMC theaters on August 7, 2015. John, buy or sell these images from Goosebumps?
It's funny. I'm getting on board with this movie. I buy it. It's funny because I heard Jack Black recently say about, look, kids like horror. They like being scared. But, and I love what he said, he goes, you can't give a movie to a kid where Satan comes running out of your TV and bites off your genitals. Because you can't do that to a kid. But they still want to have those kinds of thrills. And he said it's really important finding that balance. And when I look at these pictures, I think this is something that looks like it'd be creepy, but it's still something I probably wouldn't mind sitting down with my 9-year-old kid and letting them get a little scared over. So I'm buying into this, so I buy it, Christian.
I buy it also. It's Jumanji with monsters, it seems like. And when I'm looking at the images, it reminds me of when we were younger. You know what video we watched that was similar to these images was Thriller with Michael Jackson. And when you see this, and there were tons of kids watching that video, and I think that they're gonna, like you said, John, it's a happy medium between getting the creepy images and being true to the material, but also being able to gear it towards kids. And I think the images that we've seen so far makes it look like that's the tone. Even the faces from the actors, it's like, okay, I can see what the tone is.
Mary?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like children do actually need to be scared. There's a book that a guy, Bruno Bettelheim, wrote called The Uses of Enchantment, which is all about that. It's all about psychologically how children need fear. And I think now we live in this very whitewashed age where we want to keep our kids away from anything scary, where you're right, kids really do like to be scared. It's actually good for them. And I think, Gremlins was that for me growing up. I was scared of the Gremlins, but but I also laughed in the movie. And even Ghostbusters had some creepy moments when I was a kid. Obviously it wasn't scary, but it still had these things that were scary. So I think you're right. I think it's going to do well, and I'm excited to see it.
Berto?
I buy it for the reasons he said. Jumanji with a different tone and with Jack Black. I like when he plays more dramatic roles on top of comedy. Like remember the earlier days with what's the one he did with Bruce Willis, the Jackal.
Oh, I forgot he was in that. And he High Fidelity.
High Fidelity.
As well.
Yeah. He's good in those roles. Check it out. Images look interesting to me.
I was going to say, for my kid, I'm just going to hire the guy from Boogie Nights to throw the firecrackers at him.
That reminds me when we said kids need to be scared. I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a tangent. Do you remember the Far Side comics? Comic strips?
Of course.
One of my all-time favorite Far Sides, right? It's your perspectives from outside the house, and you see the downstairs, you see the upstairs. And the upstairs, you see the mom tucking in her son, right? And you see the dad on the downstairs with this balloon, with this horrifying drawing on the balloon. And he's holding it down, and the mom is saying to her son, "Now remember, go right to sleep. If you're still awake, I shall have to snap my fingers 3 times and summon the floating head of death." It's like favorite one of all time. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic, or you're going to do this now to your kids, aren't you? If you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, every day we take a couple of your questions. But listen, if you're watching us live, and we do the show live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can tweet in some live questions, and we'll save some time at the end of the show to get to those. You can tweet to us right now at AMC Movie News, and Ashley will pick out a couple at the end of the show. But for now, let's get to the mailbag questions. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Harry Chan writes, "Greetings, sons and daughters of AMC. I've been watching religiously since 2012. I thought Edge of Tomorrow was a surprisingly well-reviewed, fascinating movie, but it got lost in the shuffle between other highly anticipated summer movies and didn't fare as well as it should have in the box office. Would it benefit the studio to re-release it in the fall when less fanfare movies are out to allow it to get the box office treatment it truly deserves?"
I mean, we've talked about this before. The problem with the box office success, and we won't go into detail on this, but the problem with the box office success, or lack thereof, of Edge of Tomorrow was not where it was opened. It was one of the most inept, terrible marketing campaigns I've ever seen, and that misrepresented its film completely bad and told the audience, the potential audience, this was going to be one movie, and it wasn't that movie. It was actually something really great. But the heart of your question is not about why did it fail. It's about could re-releasing it do it? Nah. There's this whole thing about the public is now over it. We're over it. It's much like how a lot of people were over Spider-Man 2 before it even came out because there was so much marketing for it. But Edge of Tomorrow's come, Edge of Tomorrow's gone. Re-releasing it wouldn't really have much of an effect unless it's like one of these small little gem films that nobody sees, but then it gets Oscar buzz, and then a studio decides to re-release it just before the Oscars because there's something there for that. But otherwise, I don't see it working. Can you see a scenario where something like a re-release this close to when it's originally out could actually work?
Absolutely. They did it last year at Pacific Rim. Here's the thing. Movie costs $175 million to make. They spent rumored another 50 for reshoots. And like you said, the worst marketing campaign ever. When it came on tracking and then the numbers came in low, they spent even more money to get it out into theaters. So they're all in. The movie hasn't even made $95 million here. Jack Reacher made 80 million, so he's struggling to get to 100. So they might do a gimmick to re-release
And Jack
it.
Reacher was another one that was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So when Tom Cruise is in these big tempos that can't make 100 million domestic anymore, that's a big problem. So they're 350 all in for what they spent, and this is not a franchise starter either,
Right.
like a Marvel movie. So it's in trouble. So they might do it just to save face and say it made 100 domestic. It might.
Christian?
As far as that point goes, to try to push it to the 100 million mark, I can see them trying to do it. I ultimately don't think it would really work because what Edge of Tomorrow did, the reason that it was successful at all, it didn't have a great opening weekend. It was the word of mouth that continued to help it along and push it along. And I think the people who believed in the word of mouth saw it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, I'll just wait for it to come on Blu-ray. They're not going to go out because there's so many other movies that they might want to see in September and October that comes out that this isn't going to be it. Because I still think some people still believe that this is Oblivion Part 2, which it clearly is not, and the movie's also one of the best of the year. But that's why I don't think they would re-release it. There's too much coming out. Warner Brothers, again, might have some other stuff that they're working on for Oscar pushes that they don't want it to get in the way. So,
Having a bad summer. A really bad summer.
Yeah, what you said also adds to. I'm going to add to what you said. Basically, that we're heading into the fall. We're heading into the awards season, and I feel like there's always going to be an audience for a movie like Edge of Tomorrow, but I don't feel like re-releasing it in the fall is necessarily going to bring more people to the theaters. They're interested in seeing the awards buzz movies. People that love movies want to see the movies that are going to be nominated. So it's almost like edging out Edge of Tomorrow, like there's no room for it in the box office when you have all these other movies coming out that have all this buzz that have been building all year, like The Judge or any of these other movies. So,
All right, what's next?
Chelsea writes, hello, sons and daughters of AMC. I love your show. Just wanted to know your thoughts about the Ted sequel maybe being delayed due to Seth MacFarlane receiving a lawsuit claim stating he sold the idea for Ted.
Yeah, there's this thing going on right now, in case you haven't heard about that. I believe these videos that were on Funny or Die that featured a foul-speaking teddy bear, much like Ted. So now they're claiming that Seth MacFarlane actually ripped them off, and now there's a lawsuit. It's not. I don't think this is going to affect Ted 2 in the least. Why? Because I think part of your budget for any movie is legal budget, because there's going to be 20 lawsuits brought against you of people claiming this, that, and the other thing. And sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, whatever. That's not the case. That's irrelevant here. The point is that, yeah, somebody's bringing a lawsuit, but this is not rare. This is not, oh my gosh, this never happened. No, this happens all the time. Warner Brothers will find a way to just push through it and get this movie out and put it out, and I don't think it's going to affect it. But I don't know, Chris, do you think differently?
No, I don't think it'll affect it either. The only thing that I think that would affect it, even though I don't think it will, is the opening of A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah,
because that performed so badly that they're probably like, just don't put yourself in it. Keep the bear in it. I think that's going to be the note. But I think the movie will go. It was a super successful movie, and like you said, Universal will find a way, get it made.
Mary?
yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem. You said it all. It's done.
I don't think so. Like what you were talking about is called errors and omissions insurance.
Yeah.
For lawsuits and stuff, and before a movie gets bonded, a title has to be clear and make sure there's not going to be any surprise like that. The only way they could stop the movie is if they spend a lot of money on lawyers and put an injunction. But other than that, I don't see it happening.
All right, folks. Well, I said we would leave a couple of minutes at the end of the show to take your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do just that. You might have a little bit of time to squeeze in a couple. Tweet to us at AMC Movie News. Ashley, you are the one deciding what gets asked, so what have you picked out?
Belinda Bu writes, hey guys, who do you think will be the surprise favorite when people see Guardians of the Galaxy? Groot, Rocket, or Drax?
Oh,
I mean, Rocket.
I could answer
for
this.
me.
I think Groot.
Oh, yeah.
I think Groot will be the favorite. What do you think?
Drax.
You know what? In that 17 minutes I saw, I was shocked how Drax came across. I really was. I really, really was.
I think Rocket, just because he's talking raccoon.
I think he's like the anti-Yoda. I want to
Yeah.
say, because I always say that if Yoda had failed in Empire Strikes Back, we're not talking about Empire Strikes Back.
Right,
yeah.
Same thing with Rocket. Rocket really needs to deliver, and he doesn't need to deliver in a good, this is a pure raccoon. He's yelling and screaming and shooting guns. That's it. That's the one I hope is.
It's much the same way, like if Jar Jar had failed in... Oh, never mind. Okay, what's next?
Darth Diggler writes, any Napoleon Dynamite fans, do you think we will ever see a sequel?
No. Okay, what's next? Not much more elaboration there.
Dayton Hammond writes, hey AMC crew, you do a great job. Morgan Freeman has only one Oscar, yet he's one of the best actors in the world. Thoughts?
Well, it just goes to what we say all the time, right? The Oscar is one of the most difficult awards you can possibly run into. Every year, look, if you're an actor, every year you're running into 900 other eligible actors. And not only do you have to be brilliant that year, you have to be brilliant and then keep your fingers crossed that nobody else pulled the best performance of their life out of their butts and did it even a little bit better. Look, the reason Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't have an Oscar right now is not because he's been snubbed. He's awesome, but if you go down all the years he's been nominated, it's like, okay, I can see why he lost there, and okay, I can see why he lost. It's just so hard. I mean, how long did it take Scorsese to get his?
Yeah.
There's also the marketing that goes into the films. Like, it's not just about performances; it's about the whole campaign. I mean,
Studios
award
getting behind
season,
you and
award
everything.
season. Studios have dedicated awards departments that just handle marketing for awards. They send out screeners, they send out magazines, they do all this stuff, and it's just like, it's not just up to the actor; it's up to the whole machine that's surrounding the actor. So it's insane.
It's a game of chance. It really is. A lot of the times, depending, like you said, with marketing and who you're going up against. And Al Pacino's Son of a Woman. Al Pacino, Godfather, and Serpico, and all these movies. Dog Day Afternoon.
And then you think of all the people who've never even been nominated or who've never won. Like George Lucas has never won an Oscar.
But Morgan
He's been
Freeman,
given one, though.
Morgan doesn't
That's
really
true.
help his case. He's become kind of a paycheck player. You see him in everything.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's a
He's
good point.
with Lucy now too, as well. So he kind of
Yeah.
hurts his cause as well.
He's already worked hard to build his reps.
He doesn't
He's-
care.
He doesn't, whatever.
He's got
He
it.
doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He's got it.
He's got it,
and he
absolutely.
was
He's
in
got it a
Shawshank.
couple of
He's
times.
Lucius Fox.
All right, what's next?
Captain Tight Pants writes, which director would you like to see behind the helm for the new Power Rangers movie to give it a darker tone?
Don't care. Anybody else?
Meh, pass.
Yeah, I was never into the Power Rangers, so I'm not really invested in any director choice.
You want to go crazy? Get David Fincher to do it.
Well, I mean, and let's say this. Look, I've
Michael Mann.
conceded here. I've conceded that look, if they do go a little bit more Hunger Games-ish in as far as tone goes, with Power Rangers, ditch the putties and ditch the spandex, and they go for something like that, you have some possibilities there. But really, that's not going to be determined by the director. It's going to be determined by the studio before they hire the director.
Yeah.
And then we'll see where they're going with it. But it all depends on the direction the studio, Lionsgate, wants to go with this thing. Thoughts?
You're a fan of Power Rangers?
No.
You know quite a lot about it, though.
You know what I'd like to see get a shot at it is Gavin Hood. Yeah, I know.
That would be an interesting fit.
Because Gavin Hood, who did the Wolverine, and also did that movie Satsi, the Fox really weighed him down. He's a fantastic director. He really is. And Fox weighed him down, the old
big time.
regime with that movie. Oof. I'd like to see him give a shot with this and see what he could do.
Interesting. All right, what's next?
Nathaniel D. Hume writes, which actors pull off the best accents?
Oh.
Meryl Streep.
Oh,
She's done. There's actually there's a video on YouTube. You can look for it where it's just her doing accents, and I think there's 18 of them in 2 minutes. It's outrageous. Like, this woman has an ear. She can do any accent in the world.
Well, male or female, she's one of the best thespians on the planet. One of the best we've ever seen. Ever.
Yeah.
To me, the accents that always jump out to me, though, are the ones that the actors have the accent and they pull off. And I never would have guessed that they weren't just North American born and bred. Because you watch a movie with them, some of these guys are like, yeah, I got to make sure I run downtown today and I got to check in at the hospital to see how my aunt's doing. Cut. Crikey, this was hot. I want to die. And I'm like, how? Like, that's impressive to me.
It's when you can't hear it in their voice when they're doing Kevin Costner and Robin Hood. No, I'm just kidding. But
Throwback.
Yeah, you know who's really good actually, and he hasn't done a lot of stuff yet. John Boyega, who was, I mean, you couldn't.
I didn't understand a thing he
some of the
said
stuff
in Attack the Block.
But then he was in 24 that just came out. I know we're talking TV here, but his dialect changed, and he was American, and I was like, well, wait a minute, what is he really? You know, and so I think this kid's going to be something special.
I needed subtitles for the first hour of Attack the Block.
Yeah.
I really,
And he clears it
really
up,
did.
man. He's talented. I can't wait to see what he does in Star Wars.
I'll take one more.
Alfredo Flores writes, hey guys, do you think that Scarlett Johansson will be replacing Angelina Jolie as the female action movie star?
It's a good question. Here's the problem I have with the whole concept, though. I don't get the feeling that she wants to do tons more action. I'm not basing that on anything. I'm not basing that on anything whatsoever. I'm just the feeling I get is that she doesn't necessarily want to go in that way. What do you think?
Her movie's going to open very big, close to
Lucy?
30. It's
It looks
tracking
great.
14% first choice. It is huge. It's because of the Black Widow Association. She was good in Winter Soldier. She's probably going to go. What's the one who does Resident Evil movies? I forgot her
Mila
name.
Jovovich.
Mila Jovovich. She's definitely going in that direction. Whether she gets a Black Widow movie, she'd have to renegotiate her contract with Marvel because there's steps in there in case she gets her own renegotiation. But it's going to be #1 next weekend, easily, according to tracking. And I think she's going to be a new kick-ass heroine.
I think she's got a great shot because of what she has done. Because I remember when she was cast as Black Widow, even in Iron Man 2, I'm like, come on with this. And then I shut my mouth. I go back in time and put tape over my mouth because she has delivered in everything, especially in Avengers. I remember seeing the trailer going, it looks a little silly what she's doing. And not once did I think about it. The way that she delivers time in and time out, Captain America 2, and Lucy looks awesome.
Wait till you see her in Avengers next year. Very big part.
Yeah.
Well, two things. One, Angelina Jolie is getting a bit older, so she probably doesn't want to do action as much.
Direct now.
No, she wants to
She's directing like Oscar buzz movies, so there's that. Also, why does there have to only be one? Why can't there be many? Because Mila Jovovich is a great action star. Scarlett Johansson is proving to be a great action star. Angelina Jolie was and probably will again be a great action star. And I feel like there's just more and more opportunity for these kinds of movies. The women they're all badass, they're all beautiful, they're all fun to watch. So why
it's
not?
true, but the answer to that is because there's a special, like Linda Hamilton, because it's also, and maybe it is a pro or con against the audience, I don't know, but it's the way we accept women. I agree that they should all get given a shot, but when Emily Blunt did what she did in Edge of Tomorrow, audiences responded because it was believable. It was the same feeling I had when I watched Linda Hamilton do it in Terminator 2. I was like, that's not a man, that's not a woman, that's just an action star. It's a very special talent to have. That's why when we had Arnold and Sly and everybody, there's not the big, huge action star now. You have Jason Statham and a few others. There's not that
I've always said
centerpiece.
it's Statham and it's The Rock.
And The Rock,
really,
that's it.
Who else is you just think action star, and that's all you think when you see them.
And that's why the point, I don't think it's a matter of being gender specific, is where there's really not a lot.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying more that, like, I think that Scarlett Johansson and Angelina Jolie are two different kinds of action heroes. I don't feel like they compete with each other. I feel like Scarlett Johansson is very different to me than like a Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, Angelina Jolie, and Wanted. Like, they're just different.
All right.
So I say let them both have their time in the sun.
All right, folks, so that'll do it for us. We've run all out of time. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of AMC Movie Talk. Don't forget, lots of great films playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and your movie ticket information. If you want to get an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video and you'll find links to our podcast feed so you can download it and listen to us on the way to work or at the gym or whatever. If you haven't done so already, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the thumbs up button as well. I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me. First, our regular sitting over here, Miss Miri Jetikin. Miri, where can people find you online?
At Mary the Jedi on all the medias.
All the medias.
Social medias, all of them.
Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you?
Well, if you're at Comic-Con, find me on Thursday at the Masters of the Web panel with the man on my left, John Campea, and a few other great guests, and on Twitter and Instagram at Christian Harloff.
And I want to especially our very special guest today, El Mayimbe from Latino Review, Humberto Gonzalez. Humberto, where can people find you online?
You can find me at El Mayimbe on Twitter and all over Comic-Con party scene next week.
Well, one of the parties I'm really looking forward to is this Kings of Con party. That's the one I'm really excited about. All right, folks, again, my name is John Campea. You can follow me on all of the various social media networks, just at John Campea. So until next time, for AMC Movie News, my name is John Campea. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.